Gorgeous people, we have made it to Bangkok, Thailand, and today was a journey. Like, y'all know I gotta run it back so I can give y'all all the details so y'all can be prepared and ready for y'all travels if and when you decide to make the journey over here to Bangkok, or if you decide to take my itinerary, which I don't know how many people would take my itinerary because the traveling that I'm doing right now is a little chaotic, but that's okay because I am here for it. I am happy for me. It is amazing and I'm so grateful to have this experience. So let me run a day back for you all. It is January 5th, Sunday at like 9 p.m. here in Bangkok, Thailand. And I'm about 12 hours, not about, I am. I am 12 hours ahead of Cleveland, Ohio. So let's run it back to the wedding, which was Saturday, January 4th. It was an amazing wedding. As you all saw, I was so honored and happy to get the invitation to my friend's wedding and be able to come and support him and just be here for him in that experience. It was definitely well worth the like 27 hours of travel time, and to only be there for 36 hours was well worth it. I would definitely do it all over again. I would probably try to find a shorter route, which I'm not sure if I could, but if I could, I would. But I would definitely do it all over again. So definitely appreciate him inviting me. Definitely a big shout out to you, Andrew. Congratulations on your new marriage, and I hope it is a long-lasting one, an enjoyable one, and a loving one for sure. So let's get back to where I am today. To start, I did not get enough sleep, which is why I'm exhausted right now, because I probably didn't go to bed till like 2 in the morning, and then I had to be ready and at the lobby desk by 6 a.m. So your girl is running on E right now. Got into my shuttle. We had to do that whole shuttle airport situation again to get me back to the Boracay Airport. And I've heard the Filipinos say it, and I know I'm not saying it how they say it. So if you're watching this and you're in the Philippines, please forgive me for not saying it correctly. But I finally get to the Boracay Airport. Make sure that you read the signage at the, like, I want to say front door, I guess, because there are 2 terminals, and one of them was kind of like down the street. And I will say that I was very much unaware that there was another terminal, but it was, and I only found that out because somebody ahead of me did not see their airline. And so the security or the police officer told them that it was down the way. So he kind of started walking down the line saying, if you're looking for this particular airline, then you need to go to this other door. So if you are checking in, make sure you read the little signage that they have at the front door to make sure you're at the right terminal. However, this airport is really small, so if you probably enter into the wrong space, you can just easily step back outside and go down the street. But nonetheless, save yourself some time and just read the signage before getting in line. Get in line. Security is relatively quick. You do not have to take off shoes, but definitely take out your laptop and your tablet and stuff like that. And if you are not checking any luggage or don't need to physically check in because you checked in online or on the app, then you can just kind of go directly to the right hand side of the airport and follow that little hallway down, and you will arrive at the next security section where they'll check your passport and then your bag and stuff will go through. Once there, you're kind of in this little waiting room area, and here you just have to really pay attention because it was only 3 gates, but multiple flights leaving. So the boards would just change over time as they were boarded for that particular flight. So just definitely pay attention to that. They do have buses that come and get you from that particular section of the airport, and then they'll bus you to your aircraft. So definitely pay attention. There are restaurants in the area or inside of the terminal. There was a Starbucks. There was also a store that served Filipino food, and then there were restaurants outside the airport too that serve food that you can grab and bring into the airport. So just some little tips there. Once I arrived back in Manila, yes, I'm sorry, y'all. Your girl is losing it. I've been on so many planes now. But yes, once I arrived in Manila, I arrived in Terminal 3. Yes, that is their domestic terminal. And I had to get all the way back to Terminal 1. But this time I had enough time to catch my shuttle. I will say that I was skeptical about how long it would take for the shuttle, especially because when I got in the taxi going to Boracay, the taxi driver was like, you don't have enough time, why you just didn't take the free shuttle? And so I was like, they told me that I didn't have enough time, so hence why I'm in your taxi. But experiencing it coming back, I see why they told me to take a taxi, because it definitely was a long haul from Terminal 3 to Terminal 1. Obviously, it stops at Terminal 2 to drop people off and pick people up, and then I go to Terminal 1. And that drive probably was about a 30 to 40 minute experience from the time it picked me up to the time it dropped me off at Terminal 1. And then if you're getting picked up, the line is relatively long. So when they dropped people off at Terminal 2, the line was long for people to get on the bus. So obviously, if a lot of people don't get off at Terminal 2, then a lot of people cannot get on the bus to proceed to Terminal 1. And that's the part that is kind of iffy in playing with time. So if you don't have a lot of time, and a lot of time is like if you don't have more than, I would say about an hour and a half, 2 hours before you need to be to your gate, definitely take a taxi. Do not wait around on a shuttle, because I would not want anybody to miss their flight. So if you have 2 hours, no, let's say, if you have an hour and a half or longer, you can take the shuttle. If you have less than an hour and a half, I would suggest that you take a taxi from one terminal to the next. Once I got into the airport, I proceeded directly to immigration, because I've been moving through the airport with just my personal bag, which is my book bag, and my carry-on luggage, which fits in overhead bins perfectly fine. However, getting to immigration today, they stopped me at the door because I did not have a printed boarding pass. I was like, I've been moving through multiple airports with a digital screen copy for quite some time. And they was like, no, you need a printed boarding pass. So needless to say, I had to go stand in line. They did give me a shorter line, so I didn't have to stand in line with everybody who had checked bags or dropping off bags or checking in. But I still had to stand in line. And then when I got to the line, and the lady was going ahead and printing off my boarding pass, she was asking me, did I have any luggage to check in? I'm like, no, I just got my personal bag and my carry-on. And she was like, oh, let's weigh it to make sure, because it can only be 7 kilograms. And I was like, dang, I already knew, because I weighed my bags before I left the house. I already knew it was over 7 kilograms. So of course she put it on the scale and it is 10. So I was like, so what's the next option? Of course, I had to check in the bag, but my checked luggage for, what was I on? Philippine Airlines. That was free. It was included within my regular ticket price, so it was fine. She tagged the bag and off it went, and then off I went back to immigrations with a printed boarding pass and no carry-on luggage, just my personal backpack. Did that. One other thing I want to mention is you must fill out those immigration papers on the Philippines app, and I'll put the app back up here. It's like eGov something, so I'll put that back on the screen just so you all know. You have to fill it in. You have to fill it out when arriving and departing out of the Philippines. If I can't stress that enough, make sure you all are doing that, especially if you don't have any cellular service while you're traveling. If you're someone like myself who only uses Wi-Fi, make sure you do this before you enter into the airport, because the Wi-Fi is very, very limited, because I could not get it to work while I was there. So I made sure that I filled this out while I was still at the hotel, because I did not want any issues, because you have to do that. Otherwise, you would be SOL and trying to figure it out in the airport, and that's never fun. So make sure. I don't know how many times I can stress this, because I was livid coming into the Philippines and this was not done. And it was just a nightmare. I was just so annoyed that I didn't complete it prior to arriving in the Philippines. So it was a little bit aggravating trying to figure it out. So this is why I'm stressing to you all to make sure you fill this out, so you don't have to feel that anxiety that I did while standing in the airport trying to get this done. So after I made it through immigration, life was simple. You go back through security, same experience as any other security. Take your laptop out, your iPad out. They had two different lines. One line you didn't have to take off shoes. Another line you did have to take off shoes. So just same basic security situation there. I flew out of gate 16. Now, I'm only stressing this particular gate because I couldn't find it at first. All of the signage did not list gate 16. So I'm like, where the hell is the gate? So this is why I'm stressing this, right? So as soon as you come out of security, you cross the threshold, you pick up your bags. I don't care in what lane you're in security. Look directly to your right, and that will be gate 16. It does go downstairs, but you'll actually see the gate number above, like this little hallway section. So if you're going out of gate 16 and you're in the Manila, Philippines airports, just clear security and look to your right, and that would be gate 16. It was not on any signage. I walked around the airport. And somebody else was actually doing the same thing, and she asked somebody like, where's gate 16? And then the lady pointed, and I was like, oh snap, it's right there. It was literally to the right, but no signage. I did not see it on any of like the little signs in the airport, and I definitely didn't look right as soon as I came across security. So maybe my bad, but just so y'all not aimlessly walking around the airport, gate 16, look to the right. So did that, found my gate, relaxed, and I met some cool people at the wedding, and I was telling them where my next adventures was going and who I was flying on, and they were like, oh, you flying on the Philippine Airlines. They was like, yeah, so if your boarding says, which mine said 2:20, it was like, nah, don't worry about it. You will probably be not boarding at 2:20 because they seem to run delayed often. And I was like, really? Because this is my first time flying on them. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I listened. I just didn't think it was going to happen. I was like, maybe it'll be on time. They were not. They were not on time. The flight came in delayed from Singapore, and nonetheless, the flight was delayed by 45 minutes. So I feel like they jinxed me for sure, but I still made it onto the flight. And the good thing is I did not have a second flight I needed to catch and needed to be on time for, because I was just coming here to Bangkok. I will say, because that flight was delayed and I kind of already had heard that they always run late, I was not impressed per se with the Philippine Airlines. Also, the seats were not comfortable. There was not great leg room. Like, it was just not the best flight, I would say. It was just not comfortable. If I had an option, I probably would not fly them again. However, I have to fly them one more time on this journey when I leave Manila to go to Tokyo. So that's another story. I do have to go back to Manila and then proceed on to Tokyo. But we'll talk about that once I land in Tokyo. And yeah, so I wasn't too impressed with the plane. There were no outlets on there. There were no seat back experiences or like TVs and stuff like that on this flight. This was a 3 hour and 45 minute flight. So I will say I slept. So it kind of didn't make a difference. I just put my headphones on and listened to my music, but there was no entertainment on the flight. I do think you can stream off your phone or something. I'll put the email up that I received from them. I can't 100% recall right now because your girl is losing it. I'm losing it from being tired. However, I wanted to create my video today because I have a long day tomorrow. So I just kind of wanted to get it out the way. Let me see what else. I feel like I have something else to tell you all. Landed. The Bangkok airport is quite large. It is English friendly. So there are signage where you can read. However, it was a lot. It was a lot if I'm being honest. I found myself like taking a moment to get my bearings and make sure that I was reading signs correctly. And I'm pretty good at running through the airport. Not running because we don't run through airports, but I'm pretty good at fast-paced walking through an airport and not really having to stop to read signage. And that probably comes from being a flight attendant. However, I definitely had to take a moment to take a stop and get my bearings, like I mentioned, and actually read the signage and make sure I was going in the right direction. But the airport is large. Take your time. If you are connecting or something through this airport, definitely give yourself grace and give yourself time. If you're booking a flight, you probably want a little bit of time here. The immigration line was easy. You just have to show your passport and your boarding pass. Then they also take fingerprints. Then you clear security or clear immigration. Once you do that, your baggage section is right out there. That is a relatively massive space as well. So they have plenty of signage to tell you which flight number belongs to which carousel. So that's simple. One last thing I wanted to mention was I had shuttle service for my airport. I had shuttle service from the airport to my hotel, and in my email it specified gate number 4. So my email did give me very, very great instructions on how to get to where the shuttle will be parked. The only thing I would say is they said gate number 4, and when I hear gate, I think of like boarding gates, or I assume it's going to read gate number 4. However, it just really meant door number 4. So if you are traveling over here and you have shuttle service and for whatever reason your instructions say gate number such and such and you're trying to get your shuttle, it's really the door number. So mine said gate number 4, so I just exited out of door number 4. And I learned this by asking security, like, this is gate number 4, but does it really just mean the door number? So as soon as I exited out of the door number 4, crossed over this first like pathway, I guess you can call it, and then the next little landing was where all of the shuttles were at. And I was so grateful that my shuttle had came right on time, because they run every half hour. So at the top of the hour and then at the half hour. And I was thinking that because I was late arriving into Bangkok, I was going to have to wait till 8 o'clock. However, I think the shuttle was a little late. So I actually was able to get on the 7:30 shuttle at 7:40. So I was so happy that I did not have to stand out there and wait that entire time. So that has been my experience thus far arriving here in Bangkok. My shuttle driver was great. The staff here at the hotel have been amazing. So it's been good. I'm gonna show you all, like I said, a quick glimpse of this amazing view that I have, and then we're going to shower and go to bed because I have an early start tomorrow and your girl is exhausted.